Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have a chess miniature to share with you. This was played at the 1977 USSR Junior Championship. On the white end, a 13-year-old Garry Kasparov playing against Edvins Kengis, a player who'd go on to become an 8-time Latvian champion. All right, little Garry's weapon of choice in this game, we have a London system, and he makes quick work of his opponent in this game, only a 23 mover. All right, this early phase, non-confrontational, each making very healthy moves, nothing super special about the moves I am mapping out here. Black going for a double fianchetto, some space for the bishop. In the case of knight h5, it can fall back to h2, be preserved. We see a same sides castles game, and it's right about here where play now heats up. Well, up until this point, each going with their own little setup. Very direct play for the rest of the game here. Note the momentum little Garry here plays with from this point on. We see now knight c4, and black's reaction is b5. This is a top response, immediately questioning that piece. And from here, we see the knight fall back to h3 and target b5 3 times. It's only going to be defended once in that position, and black's going to have to do something about that. Now, at the very top, how the computer wants to play it, it says first take on b5, and then continue with queen b3 and work on this pin on b5. In the case of pawn takes knight, queen captures, bishop is there. All right, in this one we see knight a3, b4, and here we go. Very forcing moves from this point on by Kasparov. We see the capture on b4, knight recapture, capture on c5, and from here a pause by black, no recapture on c5. Black continues in the best way. What we see here is knight f to d5, targeting the bishop, unleashing a bishop on a weak point, b2. Now, if black simply recaptures on c5, this would give white time to improve this knight. This is a fantastic square. It defends b2, and what this means, well, if you try knight f d5 one move later, it does not pack as strong a punch. It only hits the bishop. It can fall back to g3 or h2. b2 would not be a problem. So, not a good idea for black to take on c5. Also note the structural difference, split queenside pawns there for black. So rather than go into that deficient queenside structure, we have this knight f d5 move. Follow up another capture on d6, and from here black does not continue in the best way. What we see here is bishop captures b2. The computer's preference is to eliminate this bishop while you still can. It says first take on f4, and only then revisit. You can go ahead and consider bishop captures b2. All right, black goes with bishop captures b2 straight away, and this is a window for white to now preserve the dark square bishop. We see bishop h6. Computer's also noting bishop g5 is slightly better. All right, we have the very direct bishop h6, rook e8, pop quiz. How would you continue here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, I love this next move. It is top. Was this on your radar? What we see in the game is d7. This is attracting the queen to a more vulnerable square. You have to take here. The rook is under fire, has no good squares. That's what we have. Queen captures d7. Now, another move that the computer has its eye on here, second rate, it points out rook b1, preparing to meet bishop captures knight with queen b3. The bishop on a3 is stuck. All right, d7 is top in this position. Queen captures pawn, and now no reaction to the threat of the rook. We have knight c4, targets the bishop, and the knight has an eye on b6, which is not always going to be covered. The knight on d5 not necessarily stable. And if the knight gets to b6, what do we have? This is where we see the vulnerability of the queen on d7. We would have a fork. From here, we see bishop captures rook, queen captures bishop, threatening mate in 1, and now what do? In the game, e5 is played no matter what black does at this stage. This is already lost. Now, if you try a different move, let's say f6 or knight f6, this is where we see this post here on d7 show up. Knight b6 is there with the fork. This is a winning continuation. Also, if black shuts down the mate threat with f6, there is in this position e4. Scare the knight away. It does not have a good reaction. No knight move that carries a threat, no forward move. Knight c7, yet again, knight b6 is there with the fork. A couple cases here where we see the benefit of including d7, attracting the queen to a vulnerable square. All right, how black plays it, we see in this position e5. Which way to take on e5? The best is with the c knight. This produces, or opens up, I should say, a new square here on c4 for the bishop to next contribute to this attack on the king. This is an extremely uncomfortable position for black. You cannot defend this. Got 3 minor pieces near the king and a 4th right around the corner. Queen knifing in. White king not even breaking a sweat. Queen is under fire. This is another, I was pointing out knight b6 targeting the queen. You know, there's another angle where you can strike the queen. We see that with knight c to e5, queen e6 from here, and now knight g4. Very difficult to parry these threats here on f6, g7, back on a mate in 1 threat. Black defends now with f6. Here comes that final minor piece. And what do you do here? Black's play is with rook to f8. There is a pin here. There is a threat of knight captures f6. And, okay, knight takes knight, you drop the queen. Knight takes knight, queen takes queen is there. There's no recapturing. The knight is pinned. So black covers it with rook f8 here. Here's a question. Why not step up with the king to f7? If you play in this way, there would be knight g5, and you lose the queen. In the case of pawn takes knight, you lose the king. Queen g7, mate. There is no defense here. Black's try is with rook f8, and after move 23, e4, black resigns. You're going to lose material from this point on. The pin is officially being exploited. If the game continued with queen captures pawn, there would follow knight captures f6 check. You're going to lose the queen. If you capture the knight, you will lose the king shortly. How are you handling queen g7 mate? You don't have a good way to handle this threat. It's a mate in a few from here. So only a 23 mover, started off very slow, each side going with their own little setup, and then it was just one threat after another right to the very end. Anyhow, your thoughts with this one, feel free as usual to leave any feedback to this video in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed it, maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.